Let's get this straight. Your problem isn't focus, it's control. You don't actually choose to procrastinate. Your brain does. It's not that you're lazy, it's that your mind is wired to protect you from effort. Every time you open your books, your brain senses discomfort and activates survival mode, the same instinct that stops you from touching fire. It says, "This feels painful. Escape now." And that's why studying feels exhausting before you even begin. You're not fighting distractions, you're fighting your own biology. But what if you stopped fighting and started tricking it? See, your brain doesn't care about your goals. It only cares about dopamine, the little chemical that decides what feels rewarding. Right now, your brain links dopamine to scrolling, gaming, and comfort. But the moment you learn how to redirect that dopamine toward effort, everything changes. Studying stops being painful and starts being addictive. And here's where the dark truth comes in. You can't motivate your brain into long study hours. You have to deceive it. Feed it lies it can believe. Tell it, "We'll just study for 10 minutes. Make it think it's easy. Reward it for tiny wins. Trick it into thinking progress is pleasure." And over time, your mind becomes your puppet, begging for another round of that sweet, earned satisfaction. This isn't motivation. This is psychological warfare. You're not trying to study. You're rewiring the same system that's been sabotaging you for years. So, if you're tired of feeling like your own mind is your enemy, if you're ready to study for 12 hours straight without breaking, without crying, without losing your sanity, then keep listening. Because I'm about to show you how to inject the dark needle, the method that flips your brain from resisting effort to craving it. 1. The 10-minute lie, bypassing resistance. Your first trick is deception. The biggest reason you can't study long hours is because your brain knows you're about to suffer. It anticipates the pain before it even begins. That's why you feel tired before you start. So, you must never tell your brain what's coming. When you sit down, don't say, "I'll study for 12 hours." Say, "Let's just read for 10 minutes." That single phrase removes the psychological wall that stops most people before they even begin. The brain's threat radar switches off. You've successfully tricked your survival system into cooperating. And here's where the dark magic begins. Once those 10 minutes pass, you never stop. Because after 10 minutes of focused effort, dopamine starts trickling in. Your brain realizes, "Wait, this isn't as painful as I thought." That's the moment you've slipped the needle in. The illusion of ease. The first 10 minutes aren't about progress. They're about betrayal. Tricking your brain into betraying its own comfort. 2. Dopamine control. Addiction redirection. Your phone, your music, your scrolling. They're all dopamine factories. You don't lack focus. Your dopamine receptors are fried. Studying feels painful because it gives less dopamine than TikTok, YouTube, or notifications. So instead of fighting dopamine, you redirect it. Here's the rule. Never take dopamine away from your brain. Give it, but only from your own actions. Break your studying into small, conquerable missions. Each time you complete one, even a tiny one, reward yourself instantly. Tick a box, mark a time slot, cross a page, whisper, "Done." These are not silly habits. They're chemical commands. Every micro-reward releases dopamine that reinforces the behavior you want. In a few days, your brain will start chasing that reward cycle, and suddenly, studying becomes your new addiction. You're not fighting laziness anymore. You're using its power against itself. You become the dealer and the addict at the same time. 3. Comfort desensitization, emotional rewiring. Now we move into darker territory, pain conditioning. The reason you burn out or cry while studying is emotional recoil. Your brain resists discomfort. So, to study long hours without crying, you don't avoid discomfort. You romanticize it. Start seeing boredom, mental fatigue, and pressure as proof that your brain is upgrading. Every second you endure without giving up is you tearing old comfort wiring apart. When your mind says, "This is too much," don't respond with pity. Respond with a smirk. Tell yourself, "Good. Now we're getting somewhere." That's emotional inversion, a psychological trick used by elite performers, soldiers, and obsessive creators. They don't hate struggle. They use it as evidence of transformation. Once your brain realizes that discomfort equals progress, it stops fighting it. And you'll notice something strange. Those same hours that once felt impossible now start to feel addictive. You begin to crave the pain because it's proof that you're in control. That's how you turn pain into pleasure. That's how you study 12 hours, not through motivation, but through masochistic pride. 4. The identity loop, becoming the machine. Your brain doesn't obey goals. It obeys identity. When you say, "I want to study more," your subconscious hears, "I'm not the kind of person who studies much." And it obeys that belief. That's why you relapse. So here's the hack. Don't focus on doing, focus on being. Instead of saying, "I'll study 12 hours," you whisper, "I'm the type who enjoys the grind." When you repeat this identity loop enough times, your brain begins aligning your behavior to match the identity you keep affirming. You no longer force yourself to study. You express who you are. You can even amplify this by using symbolic triggers. Wear the same hoodie, use the same pen, sit in the same corner. Make your study state a ritual. Soon, your brain connects those objects with discipline. The moment you touch them, you enter character. You stop being you. You become the version that thrives in silence, repetition, and obsession. That's the dark needle identity. 5. The deprivation trick, reprogramming desire. Now, this is where most people fail. They reward themselves with comfort too often. Every time you take a break to relax, your brain learns that comfort is the goal, not progress. So, reverse it. Starve yourself of comfort until progress becomes the only relief. If you want to use your phone, force yourself to earn it through completion. If you want music, link it to milestones. Every pleasure must be earned through suffering. This rewires your brain's pleasure map. It stops chasing instant relief and starts chasing earned satisfaction. Eventually, your brain's entire hierarchy flips. It craves progress more than distraction. You'll notice it when you try to procrastinate and it feels wrong. That's when you've reprogrammed your operating system. 6. The collapse point, controlled burnout. No system can run forever. After hours of study, your brain will hit a collapse point, the moment when everything feels blank. Most people panic here. They think they've lost focus. But this point isn't failure. It's phase transition. Here's what you do. When your mind shuts down, don't stop. Switch to mechanical tasks, rewriting notes, reading summaries, solving easy problems. Keep your body in motion even if your mind is fading. Why? Because this tells your brain that fatigue doesn't stop progress. It resets your endurance threshold. Every time you push through a collapse point, you expand your mental stamina permanently. It's like stretching a muscle. It hurts, but it grows. 7. The sleep trap, recovery engineering. Studying 12 hours means nothing if your recovery sabotages your memory. So you must use the final trick, the sleep trap. Before sleeping, you deliberately re-expose your brain to everything you studied. Just skimming or reading summaries. Your brain will process that information during sleep. That's not motivation. That's neurobiology. The hippocampus reorganizes short-term data into long-term memory while you rest. By feeding it right before sleep, you multiply retention with zero extra effort. When you wake up, your brain will feel heavier, but sharper. That's how you know the dark needle went deep. And that's it. These 7 manipulations, the 10-minute lie, dopamine control, comfort desensitization, identity looping, deprivation trick, collapse point, and sleep trap, are how you study 12 hours, not by forcing your brain, but by rewiring it to want it. You don't fight resistance. You confuse it. You don't push your limits. You seduce them. And by the end of it all, you'll realize the real battle was never between you and your studies. It was between who you are now and who you were too afraid to become. You know what's funny? Everyone says discipline is hard. But the truth is, it's not. What's hard is being controlled by a brain that doesn't listen to you. You're not weak. You're just untrained. Your brain has been your enemy for years, tricking you into comfort, distracting you, making you believe you're lazy, when all this time, you just didn't know the rules of the game. But now you do. Now, every time you feel tired, you'll know. That's not weakness. That's rewiring. Every moment of resistance is your mind trying to stay the same, and every minute you push through is proof that it's losing control over you. So the real question isn't, can I study 12 hours? The real question is, how long are you going to let your own brain manipulate you? Because if you can trick it once, you can own it forever. Now tell me in the comments, what's the biggest lie your brain tells you when you try to study? Is it, you're too tired? You'll do it later? Or, you're not good enough? Drop it below. Because once you expose that lie, it loses power.